Okay, so we're looking at chapter 28. You've got some stuff about the revolution there, and it's a nice quote. There wasn't even any rioting in the streets. People stayed home at night, watching television, looking for some direction. There wasn't even an enemy you could put your finger on. And of course, that's often how these things happen. If we take our modern world, you could take Brexit, for example. Brexit has just kind of happened. At least half of us don't want it to happen, and yet there have been no riots about it. There have been some protests, but it's just kind of happened, and we've kind of accepted it. You could look at what's happening right now. We're in lockdown right now, and I would say we probably need to be. I think the general consensus is yes, we should be locked down. But if you take the old school liberals like me, I fear things like a police state. But people like me have spent the last several weeks saying, please lock us in our homes and install a police state. So it's a very real, I think, description of revolution. Just up here, it's quite interesting. They blamed it on Islamic fanatics at the time. This book was written in 1984. There wasn't like a huge thing with Muslim terrorism then. But for the modern reader, since 2001, we of course associate terrorism with Islamic fanatics at times. So it's interesting that they've gone for that. In 1984, what we did have a real problem with in the world was, well, certainly in Britain, was the IRA, which would be technically Christian fanatics. But Atwood's gone for Islamic fanatics. Now, I haven't underlined a lot here. This is just about what happened when the revolution happens. Read it, understand it. I've made a couple of notes on the sheet about these bits. But you have here, I like this word Martian. So these are the guards that come and sort of and tell them that they've all got the sack and stuff. This was too theatrical to be true. Yet there they were, sudden apparitions, like Martians. There was a dreamlike quality to them. They were too vivid, too at odds with their surroundings. And I think that's a very, again, seems a very real description of what a dystopia feels like. And again, we are living through really strange times, like right now. It feels very unreal to me. It feels very surreal to be, not able to leave my house. But there we are. So that's not to depress you or anything. That's just to sort of make the point about how when strange things happen, or when big things happen, we kind of dissociate a little bit from it. We observe, we find it very strange and otherworldly. And then you've got this certain shame. It's outrageous, one woman said, but without belief. What was it about this that made us feel we deserved it? So this is the women having their rights, having their jobs, having their money taken away from them, and they just kind of feel like they deserve it. Okay, on to the next page. For me, this is page 183. The next few pages, we have some references to Moira. By that time, she was working for a women's collective, the publishing division. They put out books on birth control and rape and things like that, though there wasn't as much demand for those things as there used to be. So you can see that as the revolution is happening, people aren't so interested in women's issues, such as birth control or rape or things like that. And just note that things like that, it all rather gets lumped together there. Now, page 184. In some strange way. So it's on there, she said, all over the place. She was not stunned the way I was. In some strange way, she was gleeful, as if this is what she'd been expecting for some time, and now she'd been proven right. She even looked more energetic, more determined. Luke can use your CompuCount for you, she said. They'll transfer your number to him, or that's what they say. Husband or male next of kin. But what about you? I said. She didn't have anyone. I'll go underground, she said. Some of the gays can take over our numbers and buy us the things we need. I really like this idea of, she'd been it was what gleeful and expecting what she'd been expecting to improve. Right, people with anxiety, a lot of them are like, again, right now are quite happy. They're like, oh yeah, I knew something terrible was going to happen, and it's happened. So now I don't have to worry about it happening. I'm going through it now. There is a global pandemic. We're locked in our homes. Let's jolly on. I really like that, and I think it rings very true, and it's always rung very true for me. And yes, I see friends of mine actually who've been terrible worriers who are now like really positive and like, yep, cool, right, it's happened, here we are, guys, I knew something bad was going to happen, it's now happened, let's make the best of it. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then Luke, I'm sure it's temporary. It's only a job, he said, trying to soothe me. I guess you got all my money, I said, and I'm not even dead. I was trying for a joke, but it came out sounding macabre. Macabre means evil. Well, not evil. It means like dark and bad. So macabre jokes, like dark humour. It's slightly evil. Hush, he said. He was still kneeling on the floor. You know I'll always take care of you. Can you see the patriarchy at work here? It's only a job, he said. Hush, he said. You know I'll always take care of you. I thought, already he's starting to patronise me. Then I thought, already you're starting to get paranoid. I know, I said. I love you. And note that's all she's got to give right now, that love. I've just underlined a few things here. There were marches, of course, a lot of women and some men, but they were smaller than you might have thought. I guess people were scared. And when it was known that the police or the army or whoever they were would open fire almost as soon as any of the marches even started, the marches stopped. A few things were blown up, post offices, subway stations, but you couldn't even be sure who was doing it. It could have been the army to justify the computer searches, and the other ones, the door-to-doors. Now we have here, I just had the female symbol. By this time I'd started to cry without warning. Nobody wanted to be reported for disloyalty. So there's the dystopia coming in, the totalitarian regime taking over minds. Now, this line here, it was during the time of the porn riots, or was it the abortion riots? They were close together. There were a lot of bombings there in clinics. I've written alternative history. I thought when I first read this that this might be Margaret Atwood trying to tell us a thing about like making reference to something that happened in the 80s. No, there were no porn riots. I googled it. The things I found out were horrible. No, there's never been a porn riot. That's alternative history. So our narrator here, Offred, she's referring to the porn riots or the abortion riots as if this is something that we know, when it's not something that we know. Okie dokie. And on to here. Fucking bleeders, one of her friends said. They called the other side bleeders after the signs they carried. Let them bleed. So it must have been the abortion riots. So just notice that this is that intrasectional conflict again. So you've got sort of anti-abortion people, pro-life, pro-choice people against each other, and they call they call each other things like bleeders. Note that just above there, fucking pigs, which is what the police are often called by dissident groups. So yeah, we have some reference to her mother here, which I'll leave you to understand. Now, on the next page here, this is 187, I've written the word transactions here. It's quite a funny little quote here, but basically it's the idea that what does Nick get in what he's doing? Pimping in this ambiguous way for the commander. So Nick, of course, is arranging their liaisons, and then because he has no idea what really goes on in there among the books. Acts of perversion for all he knows. The commander and me covering each other with ink, licking it off or making love on stacks of forbidden newsprint. Well, he wouldn't be far off at that. But depend on it, there's something in it for him. Everyone's on the take one way or another. Extra cigarettes, extra freedoms not allowed to the general run. Caught in the act, sinfully scrabbling. Quick, eat those words. Maybe he just likes the satisfaction of knowing something secret or having something on me, as they used to say. It's a new kind of power you can use only once. I would like to think better of him. So that's the idea that in a dystopian, well, in her circumstances, in her reduced circumstances, it's all about sort of, vying for power and that kind of thing.